everyone! For those of you who don't know me, my name is Julie Campbell. I am 27 years old and I am married to Ryan Campbell, and he has the amazing privilege of getting to lead the church at APA. We have one child, her name is Sophia, and she was born during the first lockdown in April last year, so she is now 10 months old and she is a proper COVID baby, as I think that they are called. For me, growing up, church was a part of my family's life, but it wasn't a huge part. So what I mean by that is I was sent to GB and Sunday school when I was very young. But to be honest, my mum would say as soon as I could share my own opinions, basically I told my mum I didn't want to go to GB anymore and I stopped going to Sunday school as much as I'd had before. At this point in my life, my parents were also splitting up, so there was quite a lot going on at home and church wasn't something that I was overly concerned with. So then as I went through secondary school, I attended the youth group in my church on and off, but at that time I didn't make a decision to follow Jesus. I was mostly there to socialise with my friends. And most of what I understood at that point in my life from the different things, church and youth, most of what I understood about being a Christian was that I thought that it was about not going to hell, that if I became a Christian, the decision would be one that would stop me from going to hell. And to be honest, I wasn't that interested. I was a young teenager and wasn't overly thinking about death or anything like that. So I didn't think being a Christian at that time really concerned me or appealed to me. Then the youth in my church got new youth leaders, and my friends from there who were Christians started to talk loads about Jesus, which they hadn't as much before. And so I could tell something had changed in them, and I found myself wanting to hear more about Jesus. Growing up, friends and family that I knew who were Christians were all really good people, in my opinion. And so I guess from that, I assumed that God also must be good, and he must be a good person, and because these people who follow him were as well. But what I didn't know was that what I was about to find out was that Jesus was so much better than what I had thought. When I was 16, God brought me to a crossroads in my life. I knew that if I didn't make a decision to follow him now, that I would begin to make poor decisions in my life, and I would go down a path that deep down I didn't even really want to go down. So I woke up one morning and a song came into my head, and it wouldn't escape my mind. It was a song that I had heard before, and just this one line from it kept going over and over in my head, and the words said, "I don't want to gain the whole world and lose my soul." I later found out that the words of this song were based on verses that are found in the Bible, and they're found in Matthew 16 verse 25 to 26, and it is Jesus speaking when these verses are written, and he says, "If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul?" And so I had something going on inside me that I knew God had brought me to this crossroads, and I had a decision to make. And so I decided I would go to youth that Friday night. I was just standing there while everyone was worshipping around me. And as the words were being sung, I knew God was telling me that I needed to give my life to him in that moment. And as I knew he was saying that and I was talking to him, my objection was that I wouldn't have any friends, because I spent my weekends with my school friends, and I knew that that would no longer be what is best for me if I decided to give my life to Jesus. But because I'd been spending all my time with school friends, I hadn't been spending time with my friends in church. And so there was this thing as a teenager, it was so important to me that I had friends. And so I had this battle going on inside me where I thought, Jesus, I am going to follow you, but I will lose my friends, and I don't want that. And that moment, a friend of mine who I hadn't seen much recently approached me in the moment and said, "Can I pray for you?" And as she prayed that we would get our friendship back. And I knew in that moment that Jesus was so much better than I ever thought, that he met my need there and then. I gave my life to him fully in that moment, and I have never looked back. I have spent the last 11 years of my life trying to follow him everywhere he has led, and walking life side by side with him. And after 11 years, every time I get to know him more, I learn all over again. He is still so much better than I ever thought. Jesus is the best thing that has ever happened to me. Over the years, so much has happened. Ryan and I have moved cities, that we've lived with our parents when we haven't had our own house. We have lost jobs, we have got new jobs, we have lost loved ones. We had our first baby in the middle of a global pandemic. There have been so many highs and some lows too. But even the highs don't compare to how good Jesus is. Because no matter what happens in the rest of our lives, good or bad, Jesus will always be the best thing to ever happen to me. And I couldn't encourage you enough to get to know him. Because if you do, you will find that he is better than you ever thought. Thank you for listening.